You get nothing, Nora. My grandmother's voice rang out across the living room of her Connecticut mansion, where 32 family members had gathered for what she called an estate planning announcement. She sat in her wheelchair like a queen on a throne, her lawyer standing beside her with a leather portfolio. What she didn't know was that the medical equipment keeping her alive, the round-the-clock nurses, and the experimental treatments that had given her 3 more years, I'd paid for all of it. The announcement had come 2 weeks ago. Family meeting, Sunday at 2 p.m. Attendance mandatory. My grandmother, Margaret Whitfield, had always been dramatic, but this felt different. Ominous. My mother had called me 3 times asking what I'd done to upset Grandma. Nothing, I'd said honestly. I haven't done anything. But that was the problem, wasn't it? In my family's eyes, I'd done nothing. No corporate job, no prestigious career, no husband, no children. Just my little nonprofit work that I never talked about. Now, sitting in Grandma's living room surrounded by cousins in business suits and designer dresses, I understood. This was my public execution. Nora has wasted her life, Grandma continued, gesturing at me with a trembling hand. She's 31 years old with no career, no prospects, no ambition. While her cousins built successful lives, she's been playing at charity work for a decade. My cousin Bradley smirked from across the room. He was a hedge fund manager who'd explained cryptocurrency to me at Christmas like I was 5 years old. Next to him, my cousin Veronica, a corporate attorney, was nodding approvingly. I've watched each of you build something meaningful, Grandma said, looking around the room. Bradley manages billions in investments. Veronica just made partner at her firm. David runs 3 medical practices. Elizabeth's restaurant won a James Beard Award. You've all made me proud. She turned back to me. Nora works at some women's shelter, making poverty wages, living in a tiny apartment, driving a 15-year-old car. She's thrown away every advantage this family gave her. The room was silent except for the soft beep of Grandma's heart monitor. The same monitor Dee had installed last year when her cardiologist said she needed 24-hour observation. So today, I'm announcing my estate plans, Grandma said. Everything will be divided among my grandchildren who've proven themselves worthy. Bradley, Veronica, David, Elizabeth, and the others. Nora gets nothing. The room erupted in applause. My aunts and uncles beamed. My cousins looked smugly satisfied. My mother, sitting in the corner, was crying quietly. Grandma, I said softly, standing up. I understand. Do you? Her eyes were cold. Do you understand what a disappointment you've been? Your grandfather built a fortune from nothing. We gave you every opportunity, the best schools, the right connections, seed money for any business venture you wanted. And you chose to waste it all on charity work. Someone has to help people, I said quietly. Let other people help people, Grandma snapped. People without your advantages. You were supposed to build something, create wealth, continue the family legacy. Instead, you're serving soup to homeless people. We run comprehensive programs, I corrected gently. Job training, mental health services, housing placement, legal aid. I don't care about the details of your hobby, Grandma interrupted. It's not a real career. You make what, $30,000 a year? How do you even survive? I manage, I said. She lives in a studio apartment in a terrible neighborhood, Veronica offered helpfully. I saw it once. 600 square feet, 1 bathroom. Exactly, Grandma said triumphantly. While your cousins own homes, build wealth, create something lasting. Nora, you're a cautionary tale about wasted potential. I could have defended myself. Could have explained that the women's shelter was actually the Whitfield Foundation, a nonprofit I'd founded at 21 with money from my first startup exit. Could have mentioned that we operated 17 facilities across 6 states, serving over 10,000 women and children annually. Could have told them our annual operating budget was $47 million. But I'd learned over the years that my family didn't actually want to know. They'd decided who I was, and information that contradicted their narrative was dismissed as exaggeration or delusion. "I love you, Grandma," I said instead, crossing the room to kiss her cheek. "I hope you have many more years ahead of you." "I'm sure you do," she said coldly. "Now that you know there's no inheritance coming, you'll have to figure out how to survive on your charity wages." I smiled and returned to my seat. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my assistant. "Board meeting in an hour. The hospital expansion proposal needs your approval. Also, Mrs. Whitfield's care coordinator is asking about Q1 payment, $847,000 for medical expenses. Standard authorization?" I typed back quickly, "Approve the expansion. Yes to Q1 payment. We'll call after this meeting ends." Grandma's lawyer, a stern man named Harold Banks, cleared his throat. "Mrs. Whitfield, we should review the actual documents. I need to verify some final details." "What details?" Grandma asked. "It's simple. Split everything among the grandchildren except Nora." "Yes, but there are some items in your financial records that require clarification." Harold was pulling papers from his portfolio, his expression troubled. "I need to understand the source of certain payments." "What payments?" "Your medical expenses over the past 3 years." Harold spread documents across the coffee table. "Your insurance covers standard care, but the experimental treatments, the private nurses, the specialized equipment, those total approximately $2.4 million. The bills show they were paid in full by an anonymous donor through a medical trust." The room went quiet. Grandma frowned. "Anonymous donor? I assumed the insurance covered everything." "No, ma'am. Insurance covered perhaps 20%. The rest was paid through something called the Whitfield Medical Trust." Harold pulled out another document. "I've been trying to identify the trust's founder for weeks. It's been paying your bills since you were first diagnosed." "Who set up the trust?" Uncle Richard asked. "That's what I needed to clarify today." Harold looked around the room. "The trust requires the founder's permission to disclose their identity. I sent a formal request last week." My phone buzzed again. "My lawyer, Harold Banks, received authorization to disclose the medical trust details." "Proceed." I typed back, "Yes." Harold's phone chimed. He read something, and his face went completely white. Oh my. What?" Grandma demanded. "Mrs. Whitfield, the Whitfield Medical Trust was established by your granddaughter, Nora." He looked up at me, then back at Grandma. "She's been paying all your medical expenses for 3 years. Every bill, every treatment, every piece of equipment. $2.4 million total." The silence was absolute. "That's impossible," Grandma whispered. "Nora doesn't have money. She works at a shelter making $30,000 a year." "She doesn't work at a shelter, ma'am. She runs the Whitfield Foundation, one of the largest women's service nonprofits in the country. According to these records, she founded it 10 years ago after selling a tech startup. The foundation's annual budget is $47 million. Papers scattered as Grandma tried to grab them, her hands shaking. "What startup?" "Safe Connect," I said quietly. "I developed an emergency alert app for domestic violence survivors. Sold it to a tech company in 2015 for $32 million. I used most of that money to start the foundation." "32 million?" Bradley choked out. "You sold a company for $32 million? The foundation runs 17 shelters," Harold continued, reading from his documents. "Employs over 200 people. Serves 10,000 women and children annually. And, it appears, has paid every medical bill for Mrs. Margaret Whitfield since her cancer diagnosis in 2021. Grandma was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. "You paid for my treatment?" "The experimental immunotherapy your oncologist recommended," I said. "Insurance wouldn't cover it. You needed it to survive. So I made sure you got it." But why didn't you tell me? Would you have accepted help from your failure granddaughter? I asked gently. The one wasting her life on charity work? Veronica found her voice. If you have all this money, why do you live in that tiny apartment? Because I don't need much space. And the neighborhood you called terrible? It's where one of our shelters is located. I live there so I can be close to the women we serve. The car? Bradley asked weakly. Runs perfectly fine. Why replace it? Uncle Richard was scrolling on his phone. Jesus Christ. There are articles about you. Forbes, Fortune, Nonprofit Quarterly. Nora Whitfield, the silent philanthropist revolutionizing domestic violence services. You won a CNN Heroes Award last year, and Patricia read from her phone, her voice stunned. Why didn't you tell anyone? I did tell people, I said. I've mentioned the foundation at every family gathering for 10 years. But anytime I brought it up, someone changed the subject or made a joke about my charity hobby. Eventually, I stopped trying. Harold was still reading through papers. Mrs. Whitfield, there's more. Nora has been paying for other family expenses as well. Your home renovation last year? The new roof, the accessibility modifications? That was paid through another trust she established. What? Grandma's voice was barely audible. I noticed you were having trouble with the stairs, I said. The contractor I hired specialized in aging-in-place modifications. The elevator, the wheelchair ramps, the bathroom renovations. They were necessary for your safety. How much? Grandma whispered. $340,000, Harold said. Paid in full by a trust Nora established specifically for your care. My mother was sobbing openly now. Nora, why didn't you say